Guys, I don't think 2019 is going to be a good year for Electronic Arts. 2018 was a bad year, and I think 2019 is going to get a hell of a lot worse, because what you're looking at here is Electronic Arts' last gasp at a successful new game. The only franchises that they're actually living off the minute is the Madden and FIFA franchise, and although they make a hell of a lot of money for them, that's never going to last forever. People are going to get fed up of that eventually. Battlefield 5 has been a complete flop. People aren't buying the game and the numbers that they thought. They haven't been able to monetize the game in the way that they thought, simply because the game isn't that great. So Anthem, their big 4-player co-op third-person game that's been hyped to shite at E3, is about to drop. It drops in, I think, 2 weeks' time for VIP access and about a month's time for everybody else. And they launched a demo this weekend. It's the first kind of demo that's been out there, to my knowledge. And I got access to it, and I played it for a couple of days. I played it quite a long while. I did all the missions, did the dungeon twice in there, and maxed out my level for the demo, so I know how the game plays. Now, I streamed every minute of my gameplay in this on my Twitch TV channel, Worthabuy, and the consensus was that people weren't impressed. Most of the comments were negative. I know I kind of enjoyed the demo. It's not a bad game at all. It's not a great game. It's better than I thought it was going to be. I kind of thought this was going to be tragically bad, but it just wasn't. It has hope, guys. Basically, you play as one of 4 mechs. They are the Ranger, the Colossus, the Interceptor, and the Storm. Basically, the Storm's a mage, the Interceptor's like a scout, very fast, good melee fighter, a bit like maybe he's a rogue kind of class. The Colossus is your tank, and the Ranger's your jack of all trades kind of DPS with some limited AoE. But your Storm is the AoE king. That's who I played as, and that's the main footage that you'll see in this video. And basically what you do, you get into your mech and you go out and you do missions. Now, you can customize the vanity items of your mech, so the basic aesthetics of your mech, how it looks, and there's a little shop in the hub, the launch hub, where you can buy stuff. Now, we don't know the full details of this because they're not in the demo, but can I just offer my prediction? My prediction is you buy everything with in-game currency that's in this store, but you can buy the in-game currency for real cash on the EA store. That's how Ubisoft do it to get around the loot crate bullshit. So we'll see how this goes, but it's something that I'm not really interested in, the vanity side of things. You can also customize your loadout. There's a few different areas of your mech that you can change, and you can put different weapons on it and carry 2 main weapons such as guns. You then have another slot where you can fire rockets out of and things like that, or other sort of power-ups. You then have your defensive side, you have your buff side, basic things like that. Now, to get the loot for that, you go out and you do missions, and you'll get drops while you're out there. You can also craft the items that you want, providing you have the blueprints for them. You can also disassemble loot, and that turns them into crafting mats, and then you craft. I don't know how deep the crafting is. I did craft a few weapons, but I don't have any footage of that because that was done on the Sunday, and I wasn't actually recording on the Sunday when I was playing it. But you can do a little bit of crafting in it. As for the actual gameplay, well, it ran alright for me. You can see at the top left of the screen the frame rates that I was getting on a 1070 i7, and it didn't, although it does drop, you know, to 48 or something like that at different points, I didn't really notice it. You don't notice it that much when you're playing, so I can't really complain about anything with the actual optimization of the game. It looks absolutely phenomenal. I mean, it really does. In some of the areas where it's dimly lit and you're firing off your big AoEs, it just looks spectacular. They've done a fantastic job on the actual graphics. The flight mechanisms with the jetpacks is a bit finicky. If you've ever played City of Heroes and you've flown around as a superhero, that was brilliant. This isn't. It does take a lot of getting used to, but you can alter the sensitivity of your mouse when you're in flight and when you're underwater. Now, the underwater control is abysmal. It's absolutely abysmal. It's rank. It's every word that you can think of that's horrible. They really need to fix that. It's just awful. Why the hell it changes when you're underwater, I do not know. Every game, pretty much when you jump from the land to the water, your control stays the same, you know? This doesn't. For some reason I thought, no, let's make it unfucking controllable in the water. Combat wise, well, a lot of the enemies are just bullet sponges, and I hate bullet sponges in a game because it's boring. You're just pummeling magazine after magazine after magazine into somebody's face, and it does very little to them. Now, the trash mobs that you see, they're fine. You take them down with a few bullets or a smack in the face. You know, they go down reasonably quick, but anything that's remotely bigger than them is pretty much a bullet sponge. I mean, even when I got leveled up and I got pretty much my whole mech kitted out in blues, so I was hitting a hell of a lot harder at level 15, which is the max level that you can be, they still felt a bit bullet spongy, a lot of the enemies. I think the hit points need lowering. I mean, when we weren't tooled up, it took us 20 odd minutes to kill a boss. We did the same boss in, I think, 10 to 15 minutes with our blues. So it is remarkably better, obviously, if you've got a better geared up mech. They're called javelins, but I'm calling them mechs because they're bloody mechs. The AI was pretty forgettable, especially with the trash mobs. They kind of look at you for about 5-10 seconds before they decide what they're going to do about you. Sometimes though, if you do get spotted and they do lock onto you, they can do really excessive damage. They can take your shields down in one hit, some of them, and they can two-shot your health. So you do have to be careful. You can die quite easily if you're caught in the sights of some of the more nasty enemies. The open world side of things is pretty poor when you're doing a mission. If you even stray a few hundred yards away from your partners, you get told that you're leaving the gaming area, and it's bullshit. There is a free play mode, of course, where you can just wander all over the place and leave your friends, and that's how I think most of the missions should be, but they're not. And you know something, the biggest problem with it, it's just a lonely, barren place. Everywhere, the hub, you never see anybody. It's all just NPCs. I hope that gets filled with players. I'm sure it will, but there was none in the demo there. It was just barren. And the open world that you get into when you've launched into a mission, it's just empty bar a few groups of mobs around the place. And then when you get to where your mission is, obviously the enemies start spawning in. And every mission, guys, revolved around two things. It was either kill a certain boss that was there, and while you're doing that, and the boss can take 10 minutes to kill, waves and waves of enemies, some harder than others, some different classes, will all just keep spawning in, teleporting in. Then as soon as you kill the boss, they all vanish. It's just like, right, cut, done. All right, can we go home now? Yeah, just piss off everybody. All right, see you lads, right? And all the enemies just f*** off. And it's the same when you're doing an instance, when you go into the dungeons, the instances, and you're fighting in there. It's like every quest is, oh, what you got to do is collect 6 of these and drop them into there. And all the time you're looking for them, enemies are spawning in. When you drop the 6 little whatever the hell it is you've got to collect and drop it in, the enemies are like, right, cut, right lads, we're off home. Thanks, they've got the 6 things. Okay, let's leave them. And then you move round the corner to the next quest on the way through the dungeon. Collect 12 things. Okay, spawn in lads, and action. And then all the enemies are start attacking you and all that. You're sprinting around the place, flying around looking for the things you've got to find. You collect them, then you drop them all in, and as soon as the last one's in, right, cut, we're going home lads, thanks for your time, and we're off. It's so fucking boring. What saves this game for me is the combat. The combat with the character that I had, specifically, the Storm. I loved the whole hovering around the place, casting ice onto people. It reminded me of City of Heroes, and then just comboing that with some AoE flame damage. It was great fun. I really enjoyed it. And as you kind of use your abilities, you'll see on the right a yellow bar filling up very slowly. It's going horizontally. That's your ultimate ability, and they are insane. When you unleash that on a group of enemies, oh my goodness, it's like a fireworks show, the best one you've ever seen, and the damage you do is just colossal. And it looks great, it sounds great, it's just awesome. It gives you a great sense of power. And it is fun like that. I mean, you know, your tank taunts and your AoEs, you've got sniper guns, you've got machine guns, you've got shotguns, and you can upgrade it all. It has hope, this game. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be, but there's a lot of work to be done on it. And the technical side of the demo was a disaster. Half the time it crashed. One of us didn't even get in to play it at all. He just couldn't get it running. The rest of us were constantly having to reboot the game, ending the task of it, and then having to restart it just so that we could all get together. It was a shambolic mess, the demo. There's another demo coming up in a couple of weeks, I think, or a week. and hopefully they've fixed all that, and I will report back on what that's like. Certainly not pre-order material, certainly not day one buying material from what I've seen, but it has got some fun elements in what is essentially a very dull game, especially the story mode, especially the voiceovers. They're just hideous. The characters, my oath, the fucking characters are the most bland characters you've ever seen. They talk ridiculous. Nobody goes on like these people. They're all smart asses. I don't know what the hell is wrong. It's the same in movies today. Everybody's a smart ass now for some reason in games and movies. And in Anthem, they are really fucking smart asses. I didn't like any of the voiceovers. I just skipped most of it because I couldn't stand listening to the droneness of their bloody voices and the shit that they had to say. Badly written, badly voiced, and just shite. So there you go, guys. That's my take on a couple of days playing Anthem. It has potential, but my goodness, it's fucking annoying, buggy. The AI is a bit trash. It's full of bullet sponge enemies. It needs a lot of work. I fear for EA in 2019.